Hello out there and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Drew Morg and I was a vegan for 4.5 years. I've been back to eating meat for the last year. And if you are a new vegan or somebody who's looking into veganism, maybe you're doing your research and you're trying to be smart about your decision, you're looking for better health, maybe you want to help the environment, you want to help the animals, you have good intentions, this video is for you. So anybody who's new to the game, you're going to want to pay attention to this video. So what you all need to understand about going vegan and the plant-based diet is that essentially there is a lot of really poorly done science out there, and really science should be in quotation marks. You can find science or scientific studies rather that will support both sides of your stance, whether you're a heavy meat eater or whether you are a plant-based eater, a vegan. The problem with the vegan studies is that they just don't stack up in real life. So in a very small controlled environment, which there's been very few studies done of that sort, of that nature, you can get away with some things. And indeed, most people who go vegan feel good for the first few months to even the first few years. But what you need to understand is that plants and the vegan diet in particular is more of a cumulative effect over time. There's a certain threshold of plant material that your body eventually reaches, or nutrients that you eventually lose in your body. We don't exactly know what it is, and that is not the important thing here. Don't get caught in that argument. We just know the end game results, and for most people, they will actually fall out of the vegan diet within 5 years. We see a very hard wall for most people around the 4 to 4.5 year mark. Most people are dropping out by 5 years, depending on their vegan support system around them, how brainwashed they are in the ideology, how much they feel attached to the animals. They think they're doing the animals a favor by doing this diet. Maybe their supplementation regime is really on point. Maybe they're not very athletic, they're not asking too much of their body, and they're able to actually sustain the vegan diet a little bit longer. We don't see too many athletes going longer than the 5 year mark. There's a handful of these people, but this is what you need to understand, is that it does not matter how long you go on the vegan diet. It does not matter if you last 10 years on the vegan diet and you think that everything is perfect for you. You're gonna hear a lot of people telling you, oh, I've been vegan for 7 years and I feel great, I feel amazing, better than ever. Well, there's no guarantee that they don't fall apart tomorrow and they leave the diet within the next 6 months to a year. That happens all the time. You need to understand that there's people who go over 10 years. I personally know of several vegans that were vegan for over 10 years, and they actually left the diet and they went back to eating animal foods, quite a significant amount of animal foods, by the way, and they feel much better. So there's no telling, if you're 4 or 5 years in that you think you're feeling amazing, that think about that, double that time. A 5-year vegan is quite a remarkable feat, but to go 10 years is twice as hard, right? But again, those effects are cumulative over time with what you're putting into your body. So you need to sort of think of it like alcohol poisoning. So if you're drinking maybe 1 or 2 drinks, you have 1 or 2 beers, you're not going to feel that much. Maybe 3 or 4 drinks, you start to feel light buzz, you feel good, you have energy, you feel fine. 5 or 6 drinks, 7 or 8 drinks, right? It keeps going up. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where your body rejects what you're putting in, which is the alcohol, and you're going to actually get sick. You're going to throw up. This happens to most people. Most people have an experience with this if you're of drinking age, let's say. So that's something that I would recommend you to compare it to. And what people think is that the vegan diet is somehow really healthy, when in fact the benefits that they receive in the beginning are mostly due to them removing really toxic, even worse stuff for them out of their diet that they were eating before they went vegan. So are vegans actually thriving or better off on the 100% plant-based diet compared to a well-designed omnivorous diet? Absolutely not. In no cases would I ever say that that's true. So these people that are lasting maybe 5-6 years, they have great physiques, they claim to have a lot of energy. Well, that's good, and I'm not denying their experience. I'm not saying that they don't have those results. But what I am saying is that at some point, they are going to feel the cumulative effects and more than likely have to leave the diet, just like the majority of the rest of us who it happened to. And like I said, you don't need to know exactly why it's doing this. We just know how this plays out over the course of hundreds and thousands of people. And the fact is that there's just not that many people who make it to the 5, 6, 7, 10, 25 year mark as a vegan. It's exceptionally rare for that to happen. And of course, online, don't be fooled. There's people all over the place that will tell you, oh, me and all my friends, we've been vegan for 15 years, we feel great. Guys, don't believe that. I lived in Hawaii for 2 years among a community of mostly vegans. I knew over 24 vegans that lived there at the same time, and hundreds of vegans came through the island within those 2 years that I was there. So I met a lot of people. Not everyone was a shining pillar of health. Most people were of worse health than I was, and I wasn't necessarily experiencing the greatest effects. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people start going into the juice fasting and the water fasting. There's a reason why that's attractive to mostly vegans. It's because they are looking for answers to achieve another level of health. It's not because they're feeling amazing. Most people that are just eating a regular omnivorous diet, assuming that they have average genetics and they feel pretty good, they're not the ones out there seeking water fasting and juice fasting. It's mostly the vegans. And we see this as an argument against the ex-vegans. Don't buy into that. Just look at the results. You need to have a very focused, results-oriented approach. You need to look at the people who are having good health, good physical performance, and that seem mentally with it. And unfortunately, it's not the vegans over the long course of time. I understand that it's a very attractive, very romantic sounding diet. You eat plants. It kind of makes sense from the perspective of health, and you know, they point to studies, and they might even point to people who look great the first, second, third year veganism. But again, over time, the cumulative effects catch up to everybody. And for me, it just happened to be about the 4.5 year mark. I know many people that at the exact same time frame, that's when it caught up to them, and you just don't feel good anymore. Typically, it's going to be either through nutritional deficiency of some sort, whether that's iron, whether that's vitamin D, or whether it's just not being able to get in enough calories in general. And the other thing too is digestion affects a lot of people, and that's actually one of the lures that vegans use to get new people into the diet, because so many people are struggling with poor digestive issues. And as a matter of fact, most people who go vegan find that their digestion only worsens over time. Luckily, through the course of veganism and paying very close attention to what I was eating, I found out what a lot of the triggers were. But lo and behold, all of those triggers were plant-based foods, some of them being potatoes and peanuts for myself personally. So it's really interesting that you find out what's really wrong with your diet by going vegan, and actually by consuming an overabundance of these plant foods. So in that respect, I'm thankful for the experience. But for those, you know, who maybe just saw Game Changers or something like that, you are being duped into a completely unsustainable way of life. And I just want anybody who has gone vegan, and whether you're stuck in it or you're new, just know that there's a support system out there of people who have left the diet, who don't feel bad at all emotionally or spiritually from leaving, and you're gonna feel a lot better. Remember that you cannot give from an empty cup. So if you're somebody who wants to do right by the world and help other people out, making yourself sick through the diet that you consume is not going to do that for you. So I hope you all gain something from this video. Make sure that you like and subscribe. I do live streams every week, and I intend to do a lot more of those. So I hope you enjoyed the content, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.
And here comes a real steak. I mean, not real, it's still vegan, but just look at the texture of this thing. Wow. Just check this thing out. It's so huge. It looks exactly like steak. It doesn't make any, it feels like I'm cutting like a super tender piece of dead friends, but it's so weird. This doesn't feel right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Wow. Feels like I'm having real meat. Do you like it?
As Mike said, I feel like I'm getting a bad conscience.
Crazy.